Today I'm here with Knoxville electrician Larry Miller to talk about one of the most important parts of aging safely in place, your home's electrical system. Whether you're downsizing or staying right where you are, the right upgrades can make your home safer and more reliable. Let's dive in. So Larry, what electrical issues do you commonly find in older homes?
A lot of times it's outlets not working, switches aren't working. The older the homes are, the outlets and devices just age. Typically we go out and replace the outlets, replace the switches. You'll have some lighting fixtures that probably need to be replaced over time. Another issue is there's not enough outlets in houses either. So they got extension cords plugged everywhere, and to be honest with you, that's the biggest safety concern that I run into is extension cords.
Back in, like, my grandmother's house was built in the 50s.
Right.
And so you were lucky if there was one outlet on a wall, didn't
Right.
matter. Now there's like regulations where it's got to be like every 6 feet or something.
Yeah, 6 foot within front next to a door, and then every 12 feet. Yes. Okay. Yeah, there's more regulations today where outlets are supposed to be. So yeah. The newer homes are pretty good with outlets, but even then I get calls for people wanting to put in outlets for their TVs that hang on the walls. So that's another thing we do also is put in outlets for TVs. In
older homes, they have those plugs that have just the 2 holes, right?
Yes,
they don't have the third one?
No, right. They don't have the third one, so it's not a grounded outlet. I would recommend on those, if you don't want to pay the expense to rewire it, at least make sure they're GFI protected. Okay. If you want to put a 3-prong outlet in. So
you can swap those out with make it GFI protected without doing the entire rewiring of the home.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So how can, I hear about the electrical panels, and some of them are defective. How can a homeowner tell if they need their electrical panels switched out?
If it's the Federal Pacific panels, definitely are a swap out. And then you just do research and see if there's any recalls on any panels like that. Of course, the fuse boxes need to be swapped out. And then after that, it's just basically a lot of weathered. If your panel's outside, they probably need to be inspected to see if there's any rust damage or anything like that. But if it's inside and it's pretty new, typically I don't do a whole lot of panel change outs unless it's like a fire hazard panel that's been recalled, because they typically stay in pretty good shape.
Okay. What if somebody wanted to get some breakers added? Is that a fairly easy thing to do?
It depends. Yeah, we could add breakers. It depends on location and where the panel's at, and then where you want to run the electrical to. If you got an attic access above the panel or even a crawl space underneath the panel, it makes it a whole lot easier to run without having to cut sheetrock or anything like that.
So why are GFCI outlets important, especially if someone's aging in place?
So like in your bathrooms, in your kitchens, next to the sink and stuff like that, so if water gets on it or something like that, it'll automatically trip. As far as if it's an older house and it's a 2-prong outlet, the reason that we put GFCI outlets in is because when you plug it in, a lot of stuff is 3 prongs. And it's not grounded, but the GFCI protects that at that point.
Let's say somebody does whole home surge protection. Right. What does that cover? What does that protect?
It protects all your electrical equipment. It'll protect your light bulbs. It should protect computers, TVs, microwaves, refrigerators. Anything that you plug in is what it's supposed to protect. Okay.
Does that work also on the EV charging ports? Like somebody has their electrical vehicle?
It's a whole house thing. So anything that plugs into that whole house, that's what protects. It comes with a warranty, and there's a warranty amount on there, so you may want to look into that.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about whole home generators. So what should people consider if they're thinking about getting a whole home generator?
Typically when I do those, you have gas at the house already. So you have to consider whether or not the gas line coming to your house is big enough for a whole home generator. And then you'll have the extra equipment, whether or not you want to start it on your own, whether or not you want it to start up when power goes off by itself, or start it up remotely.
So for somebody that's elderly or aging in place, it's probably a better idea to have it where it automatically comes on if the power goes off, right? Yes. Especially if they're dependent on medical equipment or chair lifts.
Right.
Like if somebody's got a chair lift and they need it to get upstairs and they're upstairs and the power goes off, you know, how are they going to get back downstairs?
Yeah. So yeah, if it's an emergency type, if it's going to be an emergency type situation for you, if you don't have power, definitely get one put in.
Yeah. How can lighting updates help seniors that are aging in place? Like, what type of lighting updates would you recommend?
Most houses, you'll just have one light in a room. All the houses that I've lived in, and I've always put in at least 4 lights in each corner of a room just to light it up. So especially as I age, I can't see in the dark myself. So I light it up. So typically a room add additional 4 downlights just so you can see everything. Closets are really dim too, so you could always add more lights to a closet so you can see. And then if it's too bright for you, you can always put dimmers on them too.
Mm-hmm. So what small electrical upgrades make the biggest difference for maybe somebody that's aging in place?
Having enough outlets to where you can plug in stuff. Try not to have any power strips in your home. And that means we have to come in. We could add an existing outlet right next to your other outlets, and you could just plug into that too. If you have equipment that you have plugged in, make sure it's not pulling too many amps. I would also say like heaters. If people are plugging in heaters, that's really hard on your system. And if you're going to plug in a heater, you probably need to keep it on a dedicated circuit by itself.
Okay. Yeah, not a bunch of extension cords.
Not a bunch of extension cords, power strips, or anything like that. Yeah. I do a lot of work with people that go in and repair damages after a fire and stuff like that. And one of the ones that I ran into, someone had a power strip next to their bed and dropped water on it, and it's just sparked everywhere and caused a fire right next to her bed. And luckily she was able to get out.
Yeah. That must have been really scary.
I bet it was for her.
Goodness. So what questions should people ask before hiring an electrician?
They need to make sure that the electrician is licensed, make sure they're bonded, make sure they have the right insurance. How many years experience do they have? For one, because there's a lot of people that could get a license, but they don't have as many years experience in there.
Okay. So I know what licensed and insured is. What does bonded mean?
In different places you work, like in the city of Knoxville, you got to be bonded to work in the city of Knoxville. So it's just another layer of insurance.
Okay, yeah. So it's just another layer saying that you've been vetted and you know what you're doing, and you didn't just take a YouTube course.
Right.
YouTube for electricians.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for meeting with me today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
If you're in the Knoxville area and you want to make sure your home is safe, up to date, and ready for the future, reach out to Larry Miller for an electrical checkup or upgrade recommendations. His contact information is below, so reach out. He's a great resource for anyone preparing to age in place. If you enjoyed this interview, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more Knoxville downsizing tips, market updates, and community interviews. I'm Jennifer Porco, and I